Welcome back to Well Traveled with AAA. I'm Julio Soto, product manager at the Article Group, and today we're exploring some of the biggest trends shaping cruise travel, from onboard innovations to the rapid rise of solo cruising as more travelers choose to see the world entirely on their own terms. To help us dive in, we're joined by someone who knows cruising inside and out. John Chernesky has spent over 30 years in leadership roles within the cruise line industry and is widely recognized as a champion of cruise travel. In 2023, John joined Norwegian Cruise Line as Senior Vice President of Sales for North America. John, we're excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Julio. It's great to be here. My pleasure. 30 years. How did that happen? I mean, I feel like I'm 32 years old, but clearly I am not.
You look way younger than 32, and I just celebrated my 25 years at AAA. So you and I, sir, are in great company together. Let me tell you.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic. All right. We have a ton of content that I want to cover. So let's just jump right in because I know you have such valuable insight for our listeners, and I just want to go, right? So couple things. If you could tell people once in a lifetime, if you've never taken a cruise, or even if you've taken a cruise before, right? Yeah. In your advice to them, what would be that like once in a lifetime cruise you would recommend somebody who's never done it, or even somebody who has done it for that matter?
Well, I am a huge fan of Alaska and the opportunities that cruising to Alaska brings you, because it is just one of the most spectacular places I've ever been. And I'll tell you, last summer I went on a Norwegian cruise out of Southampton, England, out of London, up to Norway and Iceland. I went through the Norwegian fjords. I did Iceland. It was stunning. But Alaska, to me, still just dominates, because the way that you experience it on a cruise, that you go into, depending on what itinerary you're on, of course, the multiple ports you get to visit, the fun you can have, the nature, the wildlife, seeing bears, seeing moose, meese. What are they called when they're more than, I don't know.
Mices?
Eagles are like pigeons up there. But when you're on the ship and you're in a glacier, in front of a glacier, and especially if you go on a cruise, because not every cruise can go to Glacier Bay, which is a national park. So there's very limited numbers of ships that can go there throughout the year. It is one of my happy places. And I've been there several times. I've been very lucky on both work and personal trips to go there. And it is just an eye opener. And it's very easy to get to. You sail out of Seattle, you can do a round trip. You just, to me, can't beat it, Julio.
I agree. I too had the great honor of visiting Alaska and saw Glacier Bay. I specifically went to sail in Glacier Bay, and it was a profound experience. I mean, yes. I'm a Florida boy, so that was want to talk about something that you never get to see. So I agree, it is incredible. Would you recommend too for our listeners that if you are planning something like an Alaska trip, that you consider including the land portion of it too? I mean, the cruising part of it is spectacular, but I mean, have you made it up to like Denali and things like that?
I have, and it's a definite different experience. And so depending on your time and budget to do that cruise tour experience at the beginning or the end, depending on where the ship is it's a totally different vibe, very different experience. But a lot of people are just, unfortunately they're tight on time, or the budget comes into play. But if you've got unlimited time, unlimited budget, I highly recommend it. And then the next question I always get on Alaska, Julio, is what side of the ship should my cabin be on?
That's a great question.
So the beauty of booking farther out is that you can pick your cabin and make sure you lock in what deck you want to be on. Do I want to be on the starboard side or the port side? Now, for those that don't know, port means left, starboard means right. And the reality is there is no wrong side that you're gonna be on, because you're gonna get, as an example, when you're in Glacier Bay, and the captain pulls the ship up to Marjorie Glacier, which is kind of the pinnacle moment of the day, and you're there witnessing it, and you're on the port side, which is usually the first side of the ship that will get to see Marjorie Glacier. The captain then pivots the ship and turns it so the starboard side has the exact same time and exposure that the port side. So if you're enjoying a cocktail or coffee or whatever on your balcony, and you're sitting there enjoying the beautiful glacier, don't feel like you're going to miss out because you're on the wrong side of the ship.
I think that's great. And I think the vision of seeing the ship actually rotate in that serene,
it just spins. It's really cool.
I feel it's like otherworldly. And I think that's what this entire conversation you and I are having is bringing these otherworldly experiences to our listeners that are so attainable. To your point, it's easy to get there. Honestly, it really is. Yeah. So would you recommend this also for families? We get quite a bit of our members talking to us about, if we're going to go all the way over there, are there things for the kids to do? I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, for sure. And I just smile when you ask me the question, because I think back to when my boys were young and cute. I have twin boys that aren't so young and cute anymore. They're in college now, so wish me luck with that. But we went for my mom's 70th birthday at the time, and they were about 7 or 8 years old at the time. And there's so much for them to do, not just on the ship. Of course, there's the youth programs and the pools and the slides and all the fun stuff that Norwegian offers. But the things ashore and the trips we did, which is one of my recommendations when you go to Alaska, make sure you book your trips far out, especially if you have some money to spend and you're able to do the helicopter trips to the ice fields or the glacier. We did a helicopter trip years ago, and my boys, we were on an ice field with the sled dogs, and we were doing these are Iditarod quality mushers, and the dogs, they're training for the Iditarod, which is a massive race every year in the cold of winter. And to be out there with your kids doing that kind of stuff, I mean, those are just memories that will live forever. So priceless. Yeah, I also remember being in Glacier Bay, and I got a sunburn that day because I didn't put sunblock on. It was a beautiful day, and my boys were doing cannonballs in the pool instead of looking at the glaciers with me, so they had a ball.
Planning a cruise, AAA makes it easy. Our expert travel agents can help you handle all the details so you can enjoy every moment. Plus, you'll get exclusive perks and member-only savings. Start your next vacation at AAA.com/travel. I wanted to just let our listeners know everything that we've just talked about in the last few minutes, it applies to just about anywhere in the world globally. There are wonderful experiences that you bring your family to that really are destinational, once in a lifetime, that this applies to. So just don't think it's Alaska, even though it's a fabulous destination, right? Yes. I'm going to pivot really quickly because you are so experienced. So what is your personal ritual? Like, I know what I do when I get on a cruise ship for the first time. I know, I just did it a couple of weeks ago. And so what does John do as his ritual for a cruise when you first step on? When
I first get on board?
Yeah.
It usually involves, obviously going to our stateroom, dropping off whatever luggage we might have. And then I usually head up to get on deck. And believe it or not, Julio, cocktails are involved. We're getting ready for the sail away party or having a bite to eat, depending on what time we're there. Making my spa reservation if I haven't done it already. Touring the ship if it's a new ship for me and doing that walk around. But again, usually cocktails are involved. You're noticing a trend here, Julio.
I do.
I really, if I'm familiar with the ship and my family or the people I'm with are not, I usually like to give them a tour and show off what's there. But that sail away experience, I love it. I be up on deck, and whether you're in the busier area where there's music and the entertainment factor, or you just find a quiet place just to experience that you're heading out to sea. It's the adventure of heading out to sea. It's so cool.
It is. It's very ceremonial to me, by the way. No matter where you are, it could be a Caribbean cruise or what have you.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. Get to know the ship fast so that you can familiarize yourself. The idea of getting up on that deck, no matter where you are globally. I mean, I remember sailing out of Venice and they were playing Bocelli in the background. I'll never, as long as I live, will ever forget that overwhelming feeling. And it was super humbling. And that really is what all of these experiences are about. So yes, I like sail away as well. Right?
And when my kids were younger, for those with families that are on with younger kids, we would go to the youth centers. We would check in. We would register them. We would make sure, depending on what age they were, what was the schedule of events. And that's, that allows a couple maybe with young kids that you're going to have date night more than one night a month. You're going to have it almost every night of the cruise if you want that. And so having that flexibility for families and the best experience when you bring your kids to the youth center for the first time, and we have such great staff at Norwegian to take care of the kids, is when you pick them up on that first night, do they want to go or do they not want to leave? And typically, kids do not want to leave. And that's the ultimate, because your kids are having fun.
Yeah. And your idea around getting the job done first so that you can enjoy it is certainly that's a great advice for us. All right, real quick. So now we're on the ship, right? So now we've gone from Alaska to, hey, we're on the ship and we're getting our job done and we're ready for a good time. What are some of the surprising or little known facts about cruise ships? Like, I am a huge fan of the crew. I always have been. I always will be. They make or break it for our listeners, for our members. So what are the things that are behind the scenes that we don't know about, kind of thing?
Yeah, it is amazing when you think of the service standards. The overall value proposition and the service and experience you get being on a cruise, I think, is second to none. And if you compare the overall investment going to a destination, look up going to Alaska for a week and going to multiple ports and cost that out and see what it would cost you. So you look at, and I can tell you the sneak peek, the end result is it's significantly cheaper to go on a cruise. It's all baked in with the meals and so forth, the entertainment. If you think of unpack once, right? That if you've never cruised before, if you're going to go see multiple cities in Europe or multiple cities in Alaska or the Caribbean, whatever, you're unpacking once. You have that convenience. The cruise ship becomes your oasis. It's your home away from home, and you then have these crew members that by the end of the cruise, you're like hugging and taking pictures, and you're missing them when you head home because now you don't have that amazing service when you come back. I have to cook my own dinner and serve myself food and wash laundry and change my bed. So those if you haven't done it before, you don't even realize it. And it doesn't always make the brochure or the website when we're trying to explain it. It's the intangibles of getting to know the crew. The other intangible that often surprises people is the beauty of meeting other people and the social aspect of going on a cruise, that people will make lifelong friends on cruises, whether it's kids in the youth center or adults at dinner or adults at a bar or sitting by the pool. People then start planning their travel to go with these people because they're like-minded and they're having fun together. And even if you are a solo traveler, I know we're going to talk about that today. If you're traveling by yourself and getting out there, we see a lot of people who are forming friendships that create future travelers that you're going to go out with.
That's a great segue, John, because we do have this noted as a really important topic today, because we have seen how popular solo travel has become. I'm sure it's always been around, right? So it's not a new thing, but certainly our listeners and members have really stepped up the idea around traveling by themselves. You, sir, and Norwegian are trailblazers, in my opinion, on that subject, and the things that you've done to innovate in that space for solo travelers. Can you talk about that? Because I think it's so incredible what you've done for these folks.
Well, we recognized quite some time ago, back in 2010, when the Norwegian Epic came out, that there was this niche that we weren't fulfilling necessarily as an industry. And so the Epic was the first ship to have dedicated solo cabins, these studio cabins, that also have a shared area where solo people could mingle and have a coffee together or a snack. And that has now grown. In 2023, we expanded the number of solo cabins that we have across our fleet. It's almost 1,000 across our fleet that allow for people to be not only in a studio, which is an inside cabin, but also an ocean view and even a balcony. And so you are typically paying less than what it would cost if you were just to buy a regular double occupancy cabin and paying twice for it, which is what we used to do in the old days, that you're now paying a reduced amount on that. And it's the beauty of that is that it allows for two things. One is the true solo people. Like, I got to tell you, Julio, I've been married 25 years. I have twin boys. The thought of going on a trip by myself sounds really appealing. Don't tell my wife I said that. But people do that, and they just go out. I want to go see Alaska. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to the Caribbean or whatever. And they go out and they do that trip, and they make new friends and they have fun because of how we set it up. There's social mingle events. There's cocktail parties for people that are truly solo. But we also see people that are part of a group. Maybe it's a family reunion and you don't want to share a cabin with your cousin Bob or whoever. You want to have your own space. And so we're seeing a lot of that happening where people just want to have their own space, and they're going to get the benefit of being with their group when they want to be. But if they don't want to be, they can tuck away, go back to their room, and enjoy their privacy.
Thinking about taking a solo trip, AAA makes it easy and more exciting than ever. From expert planning to personalized recommendations, we help you travel confidently and enjoy the freedom of exploring on your own. Book with AAA Travel Agent to unlock member-only savings and exclusive perks designed to enhance your journey. Start planning at AAA.com/travel. Hey, John, what would your advice be to someone who is intending to travel solo, right? What are some of those ideas that you might give them way before in terms of managing their own expectation or something like that?
Well, I think let's assume they are truly by themselves. They're not going with other people. I think unlike going on a land vacation where you might feel intimidated because you just don't know anybody, and the ease of meeting people and having dinner with strangers is awkward, and you're just going to be spending a lot of time by yourself, it can get kind of lonely. But on a cruise, it's not. You are part of a bigger thing. You're sitting in a theater watching an amazing production show like our Prince show that came out on the Aqua earlier this year, and enjoying it with the people sitting next to you that you may have never met. You're at a bar, you can get seated with other people at dinner. You've got the social mixers like I talked about for the folks that are in solo cabins that allow you to meet new people. And it's just an inherently communal feeling. And so I would say, to answer your question, is don't feel intimidated by traveling alone. You're going to be okay, and we're going to welcome you. The crew's going to take great care of you, and before you know it, you've made new friends as much as you want to. If you don't want to make new friends, I respect that, and you can just keep to yourself. But you're in that environment where it feels like you're part of something bigger than just yourself.
That's wonderful, and it is an alternative, right? You can be as social as you want or not. By the way, John, I was on the floor for the performance of Prince. And I'm a big Prince fan, and I don't believe that some of our listeners and or members even understand how contemporary, modernized, fun entertainment has evolved on cruise ships. I remember getting chills listening to your performer do Purple Rain. It was incredible, and it was so spot on. Talk about entertainment now, because this is a big deal for a consumer.
Well, I love that you saw that show from the floor, because for the benefit of people listening in who are typically, you're in a theater with a proper proscenium arch, and the curtain goes up or down, and the cast comes out and they perform and then they go away. There's actually moving elements of the stage that are on this floor, which is a standing room only area. And our staff, obviously keep people safe, get you out of the way as we're moving the stage. And the stage evolves throughout the show to ultimately create the symbol that became Prince's name. Sure. Beautifully lit and beautifully performed. And you actually don't even realize how many songs of his that you know until you hear it. And actually, we're excited because our new ship, the Norwegian Luna, is coming out in March of next year. And we're going to be taking a similar focus on a single artist, which happens to be Sir Elton John. And so we have an amazing show about his life, his music, his story, working with him and his people. And it's like a whole thing that is happening as we speak. And so to your point, the evolution of entertainment on cruise ships has gotten bigger and better, and the state-of-the-art technology, to say the least, which you witnessed for Prince.
I feel this is like a AAA, well-traveled, exclusive.
Pretty hot off the press. It's pretty hot off the press.
I am honored that we were the first to understand that Elton John's next on the roster. That's great. That's great. And then the show was fantastic. And for all of those that are listening, the beauty of entertainment these days on cruise ships with NCL in regard is the variety. If you don't want a concert type thing, there are so many options. It's really quite fascinating how it has evolved. All right, what I want to ask you, because we were talking about solo travelers, and one thing that came to mind to me as well is there is also a segment of our listenership and our membership that does travel with other folks, right? That's fine, but they want to maybe have a more exclusive getaway, right? Like I love the idea of being on this wonderful large cruise ship, but maybe Julio wants a little time for Julio where he could just sort of chill. Do you have alternatives for Julio at that point?
We absolutely do. And I think it depends on your budget, Julio. And looking at you and knowing you, I would say it's unlimited. And so a couple options come to mind. One is one of my favorite places on the ship is the spa. And the thermal suite area is a great place to get away and really take care of yourself, pamper yourself, relax. But I also feel like because you have unlimited budget, you are a candidate for our Haven experience. And the Haven is our ship within a ship experience. And think of a suite experience, but you have private everything from dining to bars to lounges to deck space to pools. Some of the ships have private elevators. You enter this venue, this area on the ship where is not only where you're staying in your beautiful suite with a concierge and a butler at your disposal, but you then have private areas to go and sit and read a book out on deck, if not your own suite balcony. And so that to me is the ultimate getaway. And I've been very fortunate to travel a few times now in the Haven, once with my family last summer. And I mean, I was hugging our butler goodbye when we left, and I was trying to sneak them into my suitcase, but they wouldn't fit. Because it is such a great experience. So yeah, I think that is what first comes to mind. But do you have anything that you're thinking of? Like what else is that?
I was thinking that for sure. Here's the beauty of this too. With Well Traveled with AAA, our agents are the best folks in the world to ask and help you walk through these options, right? Because there is a budget and there's a price point for everyone, and our agents are so good asking the right questions and qualifying. So when it comes to something like an upgraded cabin or an upgraded standard like that, the agents can help. So I appreciate you bringing that up. But yeah, listen, I do have unlimited funds in my own head. And that's about it, right?
Yeah.
I have done a little research on you, John, and I know that you're very passionate about something. And I wanted you to bring up the military appreciation program that you have. First of all, it's incredible. But second of all, I want your perspective and some of the background, because that's such a great thing to do for our listeners and members in that aspect. So please let us know what that's all about.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. So it's near and dear to my heart. I grew up in a Navy household. My dad was in the U.S. Navy. I was actually born in Hawaii when my dad was on diesel submarines back in the day, and I moved around a lot based on his movements. He ended up, his last role in the Navy was as captain of the battleship Missouri. And so I like to say, if you think having a dad as a battleship captain was fun, think again. But he was amazing. He was a great leader. And this program we have, the Military Appreciation Program, it's multifaceted. It's everything from a 10% discount for members of the military who get, whether you're active duty or retired, U.S. and Canada is how the program is operating. Once you get registered using the platform that we have, the ID.me partnership, it's on your Latitudes profile. So every time you sail with us, you get that 10% discount. And then there's a welcome kit that you receive every time you sail with us. There's a patch that's delivered, a letter. There's actually an event on board where all the members who are on board who are celebrating as part of this appreciation program get together. The captain usually makes a speech. You get to meet and greet other members of the military. And it's really just our way of saying thank you. Not just because of the discount, but because of what we do to bring people together and thank people in person, shake their hand. And I've been able to witness one on board where I gave a speech and told the story of my dad. And it was an honor to be there. It was very emotional. And so I just think showing that gratitude is everything.
Enjoying Well Traveled with AAA? Subscribe on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And don't forget to share your thoughts through ratings and reviews. We are going to shift again as we start to get closer to the end of our conversation and really tap your wonderful John brain, right? Because you are quite the iconic figure and an innovator in this business. NCL specifically, with your leadership, has always kept the guest first. It's always about the guest, very much like, here with Well Traveled with AAA, we keep the AAA member first. So we have a lot of alignment with that. What are the trends that we should all keep our eye on as you continue developing that guest first philosophy?
Yeah, well, as a AAA member for 35 years now, I think it is, I thank you for that focus for everybody at AAA, and you truly are a member-first organization. I think for us, that evolution and innovation is, and we listen and learn and you adapt, and sometimes you make the wrong choice and you want to make, you go and make changes because we can. But for the most part, it's about ensuring the best possible vacation experience, because we know vacation time is limited. And when people come and cruise on Norwegian, we want you to have the best time. We want you to be able to have convenience in going on the cruise. So if you think of Norwegian has 18 different home ports across the U.S. and Canada that people can drive to. So if you don't want to get on a flight, you can drive to multiple cities across the U.S. We're about to launch our presence in Philadelphia next year. We have Jacksonville, Galveston, obviously all the Florida ports, New York, Boston, LA, Seattle, like we talked about. So that convenience factor. Then you tie that to the evolution of the private island experience. I think it's an important trend as an industry. If you look across all the different cruise lines and the investment we're all making in our private islands, at Norwegian, it is first and foremost. I was just on the phone with our head of hotel operations, who's on our Great Stirrup Cay, which is our private island in the Bahamas. And it is a fantastic island, but we're upgrading it and have now upgraded it. By the time this airs, that there's a dedicated pier, there's a massive pool complex. Next summer, in the summer of 26, you're going to have the Great Tides Water Park with 19 slides, a dynamic river, areas for little kids, splash zones for little kids, a Vibe Beach Club ashore, which is our kind of adults only section of the ship. Food and beverage experience there, the Silver Cove, which is like our haven, but on the private island. So I'm throwing all these things out at you because I'm so excited about where Great Stirrup Cay is going to be in the very near future, and just delivering what might be the best part of the whole trip is going to Great Stirrup Cay. So,
and John, for those listeners who may not be familiar with the private island concept, can you just elaborate on just quickly, because that might be a little confusing.
Sure. For folks. Sure. So imagine if you're on a cruise and you're going into the Caribbean and Bahamas, and you're going to stop at St. Thomas, for example. But the next day you might be stopping at Great Stirrup Cay, which is our private island. So think of it as just a wonderful day at the beach in a tropical paradise, and having all the food and beverage service and the shipboard staff there to take care of you. But depending on your budget and the things you want to do, you can either sit quietly, read a book. You can get a massage treatment right on the ocean, right by the ocean, not in the ocean, but right by the ocean. That would be kind of weird if it was in the ocean. You can have, fun with your kids at a water park. You can go jet skiing. You can be as active as you want to be. There's live music in certain parts of the island. So those kind of things just create that day ashore at a private destination.
I love it. I'm a big fan. I've been on your private island before, and it, quite frankly, was just one of the best experiences. And it is included in what you're getting overall.
Yep.
And it's just an extension of what you're doing on board the ship, but just landside. And it's such a wonderful, relaxing experience. I recommend it to many people. Are you, by any chance, since you're debuting all kinds of information here today for us, are you debuting that elsewhere outside of the Caribbean, or is that just something that could be on right now? Yep.
Yeah, for right now, it's focused on the Great Stirrup Cay launch, and it's already been there for a number of years, but really just refreshing it and enhancing it. Yeah, that's our focus right now, and it's one of our top rated, if not the top rated destination that we have when we go on cruise. So people love it. So I'm not just saying we're putting you there because we don't want to go to St. Thomas. People, not that that's a bad place, but it's just people love going to Great Stirrup Cay.
I agree. And it is, again, an extension of your standard, which I think is really cool. All right, John. So you have had this wonderful career in travel, and we certainly appreciate your continued support. Within that time frame, whether it's on personal travel or professional travel, right? What still inspires you today as it relates to your career in travel?
Well, I'm so lucky. I am in what we call a get-to job. I get to do this job. I'm not forced to do this. I don't have a real job, like working in a coal mine or farming or where people actually work for a living. And I get to wake up every day and lead a sales team that is focused on partnering with amazing organizations like AAA to try and deliver meaningful travel and create memories and those experiences that you get especially with your kids or your other family members, that you will just never forget. And so what always inspires me is the end result and that guest experience. And I take my personal vacation as well with Norwegian, and my boys have now been on 15 cruises and they're 19 years old. So they're pretty spoiled. They've had a great upbringing. And I assure you, I didn't grow up taking cruises as a kid because my dad was in the Navy. So our vacation was moving from home to home. So it wasn't always that much fun. And so the fact that I get to do this And if you look at the innovations, like what we talked about with the entertainment, the dining, Norwegian Aqua, and now the Luna, her sister ship, what comes out next March, there are main dining rooms and the food is fantastic. There are 8 specialty restaurants to choose from in one cruise, Julio. So if you're on a 7-day cruise, you got to pick and choose. And I love to eat. I love to drink. I love to have fun. I love to go ashore. And so just to have those options, and the quality is out of this world. And like we said, the value proposition, which can't be beat.
It cannot be beat. It really can't. For those who've never done it, who are listening, we highly recommend it. It's a really incredible experience.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a very profound question to ask you. I ask everyone. We here at Well Traveled with AAA ask all of our guests, what does well traveled mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question. And I have not rehearsed the answer to this, but I will say it's the willingness to get out there and explore, and just having that passion for trying something new. And I've been lucky to travel to places like Norway or Iceland, like I mentioned, travel to Alaska, travel to Japan, French Polynesia, Australia. And the world is such a big, beautiful place. Get out there, meet people, expand your horizons, and learn something about the different cultures that are out there. And that, to me, that you grow up in a way that is so good and so positive. And it changes your view, that you just start to understand people very differently the more you get out there. And I think the more we travel, the better we are as people. And so that, to me, is well traveled.
That's wonderful, John. And I will say, we were talking about, or speaking of, 2 iconic musicians earlier in this conversation. Well, I will say that I've always considered you a rock star in the travel business. And I feel that based on the conversation we just had, you are living up to that. So thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you for what you're doing for all of us as it relates to delivering such an incredible experience for our listeners, for our members, for the general public. It's just something that is very special. And I feel very honored to have shared a few moments with you.
You're very kind, Julio. It's been my pleasure, my honor to spend some time with you and sharing our stories. And thanks everybody for listening in, and get out there and travel. Talk to your AAA agent, but more importantly, only cruise with Norwegian Cruise Line. I'm kidding, of course, but I hope you end up with us.
Perfect. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Julio.
You can find all our interviews with other travel experts from around the world on the Well Traveled with AAA feed on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We hope you will rate us or leave a comment and let us know what you think. I'm Julio Soto. Thanks for listening.